There has never been a better time for a resurgence of the web series. When I was coming up, there were two different worlds on YouTube, but that's not the case anymore. YouTube CEO has referred to YouTube as the new television and creators as the startups of Hollywood. That is his words. So if you are a filmmaker or a screenwriter and you are not taking advantage of this moment in YouTube culture, you will probably be left behind. I believe that what YouTube of the future intends to be is a Netflix-like experience, but with more personalization. It takes a very specific type of storytelling mindset to be able to create content that works for that type of viewing experience. And that is where web series fit in for quite some time. That's where I came from. My career started at the beginning of the rise of web series. There was a period of time in YouTube history where you kind of had two different content experiences happening on this platform. You had the web series creators who were creating narrative, episodic content, much of it scripted. And then you had what we at that point called influencers, which was the personal brands. You refer to influencers more as creators, but at the time we called them influencers. And that both of those content experiences were happening on YouTube. There were a lot of popular web series. There were web series that moved to television, like Issa Rae's series Awkward Black Girl, which eventually moved to HBO, was a huge hit there. Broad City started on YouTube, eventually moved to Comedy Central, a huge hit there. And that was just the tip of the iceberg, because there were a lot of series that were successful on YouTube, like massively successful, like the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which was, has like 100 million views at this point just on YouTube. And the Lizzie Bennet Diaries was multi-platform, so that's just like one little piece of how many views that series got. It also won an Emmy. And then you have, if you go back in time further, you have a web series like Lonely Girl 15, which was kind of a predecessor to the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. And there's been many other enormous successes that just lived on YouTube. But the problem is that they tended to cost a little bit more and they were harder to monetize. Whereas influencers were able to figure out monetization very quickly. The funny thing is that I actually remember back in my day that there was actually a YouTube show's interface on YouTube, because my web series Downsize was in it. It was a part of YouTube shows. I think it was youtube.com/shows and then the name of your show. And it was organized like a television show with the order of, with your seasons and the episodes. And so that has existed on YouTube before, but YouTube never really doubled down on it before. I'm telling you all of this because the vibe out of YouTube's brandcast was very, very, very clear. And it echoes the sentiments of YouTube CEO Neil Mohan from a couple of months ago when he released his annual letter. And he talked about YouTube being the new television and that he saw creators as the startups of Hollywood. This was literally his word. So that made it pretty clear that YouTube was doubling down on television and its role as a streaming television powerhouse. Now, if you'll remember, a couple of months before that, YouTube had announced that they were going to allow creators to be able to create show pages for the YouTube TV app. It had not rolled out yet, but they previewed it, that creators were going to be able to create these show pages so that viewers could watch their content like they would watch on Netflix or on Hulu or any of these other streaming services, because those streaming services are typically linear television, whereas YouTube is non-linear television. Now, what is the difference? When you're on YouTube, you have no control as a creator over what order your viewers are going to see your content. The viewer could see episode 8 in their browse feed or any other feed before they ever see episodes 1 through 7. That's just how YouTube works. That's how social media works, right? There's many factors for why a video appears in somebody's feed, but you have no real control over what order or when that video is going to pop into someone's feed, which has made episodic storytelling, narrative storytelling, always a bit of a challenge here on YouTube. Now, there's many creators that successfully figured that out. In fact, on the short form vertical side, there has been a huge interest in vertical soap operas, vertical dramas. They're extremely popular right now. There's millions of views on that type of content, so there is a huge interest in episodic content that happens in people's feeds. But there's a very specific type of storytelling mindset that you need to have to be able to create narrative content that works both in people's feeds and the way that content comes into their feeds, and also in a linear fashion like television. As a screenwriter, it is very hard to be included in the conversation. It's very hard to be included in the conversation in the pitch room, but it is also very hard to be included in the conversation when a film or a TV show is released. And with YouTube now becoming the #1 TV streaming service, it is a great opportunity for writers to build their own media brands. 82 to 83% of US viewers think YouTube has the most trustworthy creators. That, I think, is extremely important. Whether you are a personal brand or whether you are an entertainment brand or filmmaker that's trying to create narrative content, you are a media brand, and you need to start thinking of yourself as a media brand, because that is what YouTube expects of you, and they are making that very clear. The messaging has been consistent in every one of their events, their big events within the last 6 months at least, that they view creators as the media empires of, I was going to say the future, but really the present. And if you would like help building a signature series, I've created a new community, free community, by the way, on the Skool platform called the Storytelling Room, where you will find script and storytelling templates, you'll find video content. Eventually, we will have live Q&As. I'm planning on rolling that soon, but you will also find a very active community of other creators, all focused on storytelling. So I hope you check it out. I will pop the link in my description. Want to create better stories without burning out? Check out this video. Until next time, keep creating and keep thinking like a showrunner.